The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, is again reaffirming Nigerian Army's unwavering commitment to protecting the nation's freedom, heritage, and democracy. Speaking at the 162nd anniversary interdenominational Thanksgiving service, which was held at the All Saints Protestant Church in Mogadishu Cantonment in Abuja, General Oluyede warns those seeking to disrupt the country's peace that their efforts will be thwarted.
It's a Thanksgiving service at the All Saints Protestant Church at the Mogadishu Cantonment in Abuja as the Nigerian Army celebrates 162 years of defending the nation's territorial integrity. The annual celebration provides an opportunity for the leadership of the Army to reflect on the sacrifices and commitment of officers and soldiers, and also to remember and honor the brave heroes who paid the supreme sacrifice in the line of duty. The importance of loyalty by soldiers and the need to remain committed to God and to the Nigerian Army while serving the country with integrity and patriotism is a thrust of the message by the officiating priest.
It is a time for renewal. It is a time to examine ourselves in light of Nigerian Army's transformation drive under the Chief of Army Staff, focusing on the soldier-first concepts, putting the well-being, welfare and capacity of the soldier at the heart of military progress.
The Chief of Defense Staff leads the special Thanksgiving, accompanied by the Chief of Army Staff. Prayers are then offered for the military hierarchy and all personnel across all formations. The Chief of Army Staff then speaks on the fight against insecurity, noting that the Army remains committed to defending the nation at all times.
It is imperative to state that regardless of the challenges faced in the line of duty, our commitment of safeguarding Nigerian sovereignty, protecting its territorial integrity, and upholding the rights of all citizens remains absolute.
Citizens are advised to support the Army's effort to combat insecurity and to promote national stability.
To all those who seek to disrupt the sanctity of our freedom, our heritage of liberty, and our enduring democracy, be assured that your failure is certain and your boast lacks value.
Although the Nigerian Army says it is determined to protect the nation's interest and ensure a secure future for all, the collaborative role of citizens remains key to winning the war.
For the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, he has inaugurated a student-led initiative aimed at countering violent extremism and insurgent ideologies in Nigeria's northeast region. This initiative formed part of the military's non-kinetic strategy to combat ideological-driven terrorism in the region. Speaking at a one-day multi-sectoral conference in Maiduguri, General Musa asked students, youth, and the wider civil population to utilize social media as a tool to challenge and dismantle narratives that promote terrorism and criminality, warning that such ideologies threaten Nigeria's unity and national security.
This year's conference themed Countering Extremist Ideology, Insurgency and Terrorism in the Northeast featured the formal inauguration of the student-led group and the launch of a book titled Taking a Stand Against Insurgency and Terrorism, authored by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. After praising stakeholders for their role in the counterinsurgency successes in the Northeast, the Chief of Defense Staff stressed the need to engage youths and students early, urging them to champion counterinsurgency ideologies as part of a broader non-kinetic security strategy.
This is the time for every citizen to speak out against any suspicious activity. Silence is no longer an option. The evil ignorant today might haunt us tomorrow. The people are critical stakeholders in intelligence gathering, while you might not wear uniforms or carry weapons, the information you hold and the vigilance you show can make all the difference.
General Musa urges youths to act as non-combatant soldiers by supporting intelligence-driven collaboration with the Nigerian armed forces and leveraging social media to promote peace and counterinsurgency advocacy.
We advocate for truth, fight misinformation and disinformation, because the battle against violent extremism is largely non-kinetic and heavily reliant on civic awareness, media influence, and social responsibility.
Following remarks from stakeholders, civil society groups and representatives of Benu and Yobe state governments, the military chief formally inaugurated the student groups and launched the book.
I hereby declare the Student Against Violent Extremism Save 1 and 2 teams duly inaugurated. Congratulations.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Earlier, the founder and convener of the conference, Khaltoum Mohammed, highlighted the Save 1 and 2 initiative and emphasized the need for a multifaceted approach to countering Boko Haram and other extremist ideologies.
Federal government and the state government are doing well, but we as students, as youths, we also have critical roles to play.
Afterward, General Musa visited wounded troops at Maimalari Military Hospital, where a philanthropist donated relief items and pledged to build homes for the injured soldiers.
I shook hands to there were 75 of them, yes, and I'm able to say thank you to each one of them. And I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to say thank you for these men who has made us survive in this country.
Student and youth representatives from Benu, Yobe and Adamawa states were officially inaugurated into the Save Teams 1 and 2, where they are now tasked with serving as ambassadors of peace across their respective states.
13 passengers abducted in Benu State have been rescued by a combined team of police operatives and local vigilantes. The victims, all commuters on a Benue Links Nigeria Limited vehicle, which is a state-owned transport service, were kidnapped last week in Eke, in Opoko local government area of the state. Confirming this development in a telephone conversation with Channels Television, the chairman of the local government area, Mr. Ada Inalego, says the successful rescue followed an intense forest combing operation. He explains that 2 passengers were rescued and ongoing efforts strengthened by the youths in the village and neighboring Kogi states led to the final release of the remaining victims today. Mr. Inalego also praised the synergy between security forces and the community, describing the rescue as a testament to the power of coordinated grassroots security. Still on matters of security and communities, in Akure North, Ondo State, they are now crying out for help after deadly attacks in March and April this year by armed men suspected to be herdsmen. The affected residents, mostly crop farmers, are appealing for the reinforcement of the Amotekun Corps, insisting the locally grounded security outfit is best suited to protect them. They're also asking the federal government to shelve plans to deploying forest guards in the area, arguing that Amotekun has proven more capable of safeguarding their lives, lands, and their livelihoods.
In March and April 2025, suspected herdsmen launched deadly night attacks on farm settlements in Akure North, Ondo State, killing farmers and destroying crops. Camps like Ademekum, Dada, and Alajudo were abandoned as fear spread. Responding to distress calls, the state government deployed Amotekun operatives, restoring calm and encouraging farmers to return. Now, with the federal plan to introduce forest guards, residents are uneasy, urging the government to retain Amotekun, whom they trust and see as more effective due to local knowledge.
We were very happy when we heard the news. Government is really working for us. But I want the federal government to know that the Amotekun Corps have been working for us here. The foreign security guards they want to bring for us won't be able to do the job effectively like them. If not for Amotekun, you wouldn't meet me here today. We just started returning here.
We beg our government to empower Amotekun people. So that's what I want to advise our government. We don't need anybody from nowhere. We don't hear a language. We don't know where he's from.
For these farmers, The urgent appeal is deeply personal, stemming not just from the lives tragically lost, but also from the widespread destruction of their farmlands.
Before the Amatakun will come, we suffer a lot of things in the hands of these herdsmen. Killing, burning all the crop, burning all the plantain, the cocoa, the cassava. They will go, they kill people. By the help of this Amatakun, as they come, we have peace. Even the people that run away, some are coming back because of the help. So I suggest and I beg the federal government to allow these people to continue their work.
Social worker Sheyi Ogundipe lends his voice to the farmers' appeal. Affirming their concerns, he says their fears are valid and emphasizes that security efforts must prioritize those most affected, the rural communities who feed the nation.
We are appealing to the federal government. We should not duplicate jobs. That is why you will see police actually running after drug peddlers. Ideally, we know that NDLA is actually assigned with that responsibility. Amotekun has been doing this job. I don't want us to have conflict of job. Amotekun, we all know that Amotekun, we can see them in our bushes, in our forest around. If there will be rangers, if there will be forest guards, it's a welcome idea. They should collaborate with Amotekun.
Many of the farmers, though not indigents of Ondo State, are the lifeline of its food supply, cultivating cassava, plantain, maize, cocoyam, and assorted fruits. Their produce feeds Akure and other urban centers across the state. Now they're calling for stronger security assurances to continue their work without fear, because without safety, there is no harvest.
In part two, after the break, as Russia's war in Ukraine rages on, Channels Television's correspondent Kayode Okikiolu journeys through Kiev and Lviv, also offering a first-hand look at life inside the embattled nation. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television, broadcasting from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Femi Oluyode reaffirms the Army's commitment to protecting the nation. Security operatives rescue 13 abducted passengers in Benu State. As Russia's war in Ukraine rages on, Channels Television's correspondent Kayode Okikiolu journeys through Kiev, offering a first-hand look at life inside the embattled nation. And the IAEA says that Iran could begin enriching uranium for a nuclear bomb within the month. The People's Democratic Party, the PDP National Working Committee, is once again embroiled in internal conflict over its planned National Executive Committee meeting, originally slated for Monday, June the 30th. A faction of the NWC, loyal to the acting national chairman, has announced that the scheduled NEC meeting has been downgraded to a special caucus meeting. However, another powerful bloc within the NWC, led by Deputy National Chairman Taufik Arapaja, and including Debo Ologwangwa and other key members, insist that the NEC meeting must proceed as planned. The Arapaja-led faction has labelled the acting national chairman's notice of an expanded caucus meeting as unconstitutional. They remain adamant that the National Executive Committee meeting will go on as originally scheduled. This internal rift comes after the acting national chairman's decision to convert the NEC to the caucus meeting, which he announced following the party's meeting with the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja. The PDP's leadership continues to face significant internal division as these crucial meetings approach.
Contrary to a purported notice being circulated in the social media suggesting that the 100 NEC meeting has been converted to a special expanded national caucus meeting, the NWC states in clear terms that the said notice did not emanate from the PDP and should be disregarded. The NWC emphasizes that there is no provision whatsoever for an expanded national caucus in the constitution of the PDP or any guideline of our party. For the avoidance of doubt, Section 30 of the Constitution of the PDP is unambiguous in providing for a national caucus for the party with its composition, functions, and meetings clearly spelled out, leaving no room for any form of expansion.
The concerns over Nigeria's debt burden seems to be far from over this week. Statistics from the Debt Management Office, the DMO, revealed that the national debt value as at the end of March 2025 is 149 trillion naira. But what do these latest debt statistics really mean, and what is the outlook for the next 6 months? Well, tonight we dive into understanding more about this, and data scientist who is the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst Babajide Ogunsoro is right here with me on the news at 10. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the program.
Good evening, Anne.
There seems to be different interpretations when you look at the national debt report. Which one is fake news and what is real?
So it depends on how we want to look at it. First there's fake news, there's the fact, and there's the truth. So perhaps I'll explain the fake news first. The fake news is, yes, we're talking about the national debt position of 149 trillion naira, but that isn't the money owed by the federal government. So if anyone says the money owed by the federal government is the equivalent of that national debt figure, that is fake news. The fact is, the federal government owns the majority of that debt position. So 92% of that 149 trillion naira is owed by the federal government. So if we're to look at the national debt figure of 149 trillion naira, 137 trillion naira of that figure, 92%, is what is owed by the federal government. The rest is owed by the states and the FCT. But the real concern is, because the federal government accounts for 92% of the national debt figures, that is why a lot of pressure is on the federal government to explain what exactly has all of this debt been used for. So we've clarified between what is fake and what is fact. But what is the truth, Anne? The truth is nothing really weakens a government as the poor use of debt. And so, yes, over the years, we've been talking about the cost of debt. The conversations we need to start having now is, what exactly are the returns on this debt? And so whenever we see the Debt Management Office talking about our debt service, we need to elevate our conversations to include what are the returns on this debt, what exactly are the results of this debt, both intangible returns and intangible returns, because then it allows us to easily match our cost of debt with our returns on debt. For instance, I'd like us to take a look at where exactly was the federal government's debt position when the government came in as at the end of the first quarter of 2023, and what the Debt Management Office says it is today. And these are the facts. And as at the end of quarter one, the federal government's domestic debt in naira, 24.7 trillion naira, and that has grown by 203%. So the debt figures as at the end of March this year, 74.8 trillion naira. Again, that is a growth in excess of 50 trillion naira for additional debt within the next 2 years. And again, that's just domestic debt. In simple terms, the federal government has acquired additional domestic debt of 50 trillion naira in 2 years. That is the facts from the Debt Management Office on the domestic borrowing perspective. The second is the external borrowing perspective. There's some good news, relatively good news, because we see that those figures have not grown like the domestic debt. So clearly we understand where the borrowing strategy is domestic debt. So as at the end of quarter one, 2023, external debt was $37 billion, monies owed by the federal government. Now, external debt position is approximately $41 billion, a growth of about 11% within 2 years. So the real headache, Anne, is domestic borrowing. 50 trillion naira in 2 years. Those are the facts from the Debt Management Office.
All right, so let's look at the debt reports that we know, the facts actually. How does it affect Nigeria's credit rating and the cost of new borrowing going forward?
So, I talked about the returns on debt. The challenge we have is we have focused more on the cost of debt without really matching it with what exactly are we getting in return for this debt, both tangible and intangible, and we have to quantify it. Now, with credit rating, our position is open. In chess, there's a position called the Maroczy bind. When your positions are open, a lot will be determined on how you play. The concerns we have today is a lot of the institutions Nigeria is owing money are the institutions that are still borrowing us a lot of more money. So we're in a Maroczy bind, our positions are open. To be clear and to make this easy for everyone to understand, and I want us to take a detailed look at how much the federal government's revenue has been in the last 3 years and how much have we been paying as debt, because it allows us to look at the facts and understand the real challenges we face today. These are the facts from the National Bureau of Statistics. Federal government revenue in 2022, 5.3 trillion naira. Debt service in 2022, 5.6 trillion naira. In 2022, it simply means that our debt service was more than our revenue. 2023, revenue 5.9 trillion naira. Debt service 8.5 trillion naira. Debt service again more than revenue in 2023. The same thing in 2024. Our debt service more than our income. The summary of what has happened in the last 3 years, 2022 to 2024, shows that the federal government has earned an income of 20.6 trillion naira, and debt service has not only taken all of that income, we've had to, in principle, borrow more money to pay debt. And these are the facts. 3 years, 20.6 trillion naira revenue, debt service, 25 trillion naira. So the question again is, what are the returns on this debt? Yes, are we about to go bankrupt or broke? The answer is no. We do not have facts on that. What we have facts are what is in front of us, which is we are paying a lot more in terms of principal and interest on our debt than we are making income. Those are the real concerns. And clearly, is this sustainable? It is not the way to go, Anne.
But when we look at these reports again, because that's what we're referring to, what influence would this decision make, or how would this influence the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria at its next Monetary Policy Committee meeting?
Businesses are complaining, and so we can clearly see, even from the domestic borrowing perspective, medium-sized businesses have been crowded out. The federal government has borrowed almost all the available money. So we have interest rates, even for prime customers, 30%, 35%. So those are the concerns. As of 2 years ago, MPR was about 18.75%, now over 27%. Interest rate, double digits, still about 24%. Inflation rate. So the summary is our approach to our economic and financial model has to change, has to be more people-centric. Yes, from 2026, the impact of the tax reforms clearly has shown that the federal government needs to earn significantly more income. So hopefully that will play a part. Even if you take a look at how the central bank governor has also put it in recent times, and if you take a look at his statements on why we need to go to have a more people-centric model in our quote of the week, it is clear that our people, the people, have to become more productive. That is really where the income will come from. And according to the CBN governor, the ultimate resource in Nigeria's economic development is the people. To develop our economy, the return on people is even more important than the return on investment. And part of getting high returns on people is making the people more productive, having more people to join the formal job market, and then grow the economy by focusing a lot more on the people than focusing on our current monetary and financial framework, which is good, which there's room for a lot of growth, but the people, without the people, we will still be in this position whereby our debt service is significantly more than the revenues the federal government is earning.
All right, thank you very much. Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, for all the numbers on the news at 10.
We'll keep cracking this again next week.
We will. And still ahead on the news at 10, the IAEA says that Iran could begin enriching uranium within months. Please join us again. Welcome back. What does it really feel like to wake up in a country consumed by war, where every day could actually bring a devastation, and in conflict where both sides are convinced of their righteous cause? Who then do you trust? Tonight, in the harrowing first installment of our series on the 3-year-old Ukraine-Russia war, Channels Television brings you an unfiltered first-hand account of the human impact. Our correspondent Kayode Kukelu has journeyed through the cities scarred by destruction, capturing the raw, untold stories of those living through it all.
This is, without question, one of the longest train rides of my life. And not just because it lasts nearly 5 hours. What makes it even longer is where it leads. I'm on a train to Ukraine, a nation still gripped by war since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. A war that has claimed over 170,000 lives. I just read the news that Kyiv has just been hit by the deadliest missile and drone attacks since the war began. 28 people killed, and that's the country I'm headed into. But how did I get here? My journey started at the Václav Havel Airport in Prague, Czechia. A country with its own deeply etched scars of war and occupation. In Prague, I joined 11 other top journalists from across 8 African nations, invited to understand the war, not just as news, but as a lived experience. Next, we meet a war journalist who shows us the ropes. Using a map, I ask her just how bad the situation is.
After the operation that Ukrainian did in Russia, I would be more not afraid, but more careful. When there's a siren, I would go to the basement. I would know where you can be and stuff like that.
For deeper context, we attend the Global Security Summit, where I had the opportunity to meet with Czechia's president, Petr Pavel. In a private session, I asked him what we must do to have peace. His response was that we must learn to share as a people. From Prague, we head to Warsaw, a nation that has also seen war. Given birth to that saying that Warsaw never saw war, until war saw Warsaw.
On Hitler's orders, the burning and dynamiting of whatever was still left standing, 150,000 civilian residents killed. The evacuation of the city, 1 million people.
After the sober reflection, I stopped briefly at the Nigerian embassy in Poland, a moment of cultural connection before entering unfamiliar territory.
You are Polish now, so come.
Then the long journey to Ukraine begins from the Polish border of Przemyśl. Once a haven for thousands fleeing Ukraine in the war's early days. Getting into a war zone is never simple. The train was leaving any moment, but the border guard was not in a hurry. Finally cleared, I hurry to the train. The coaches are occupied mostly by women and children, and that was my first real reminder. I was heading into war.
It was really hot, I must say, in this place.
Next on the series.
Attention, air raid alert. Proceed to the nearest shelter.
A threat of a missile attack on our location as we take refuge in a shelter.
Goodness me.
I visit a building that was split in half by a missile attack. And I meet a Nigerian who's still living in Ukraine in spite of the war. A sober moment as I visit the final resting place of soldiers who died in the war. And then a conversation with prisoners of war, some of them Africans.
Definitely be bringing you more of those series with Kayode Okikiolu. Back here at home, Yobe State House of Assembly says that it will soon pass a bill on compulsory genotype and viral hepatitis screening for all intending couples so as to reduce the increasing case of sickle cell anemia across the state. The Speaker of the House, Jerome Abuba Mashio, disclosed this at the zonal public hearing on the compulsory genotype screening for intending couples in Gashua, Potoskum and Damaturum after the bill passed second reading on the floor of the House.
Stakeholders in Yobe State, including legislators, health experts, civil society organizations, as well as traditional and religious leaders, are meeting here for a public hearing on the compulsory genotype screening for intending couples.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, who went round the three zones for the public hearing, disclosed that the bill has passed second reading on the floor of the chamber and will soon be passed.
The purpose of this bill is straightforward, but its impact is profound. It seeks to ensure that every intending couple in Yobe State undergoes mandatory screening for genotype and viral hepatitis before conducting any marriage. The proactive measures will help prevent avoidable health crises, such as sickle cell anemia, spread of hepatitis, and other blood-inherited disorders, which continue to cause untold suffering amongst our citizens.
The need for the legislature to include in the bill establishment of registration and screening centers across the 178 wards of the state is advocated.
For easy accessibility and accountability or affordability, registration centers will be established in 178 that is primary health care centers across the state. For the avoidance of outrageous charges on the client, certain range of cost implication of the premarital test should be suggested.
The initiators of the bill explain the severity of sickle cell anemia and its impact on Yobe healthcare.
When the bill is passed into law, it intends to safeguard the health and well-being of the citizens of the state, and Yobe should be free of sickle cell and other related diseases, inshallah.
The policy makers, they have the role to play. If they have imposed a policy that mandates any intended couple to undergo screening for genotype, it will help in the prevention of the disease. And also, this bill, it has a component that it will support the people living with the sickle cell disease in Yobe State.
Yobe State ranks among the states with a high prevalence of sickle cell anemia in Nigeria. Once passed and signed into law, the bill is expected to help curb the rising number of sickle cell cases in the state.
The Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited has commissioned a newly constructed state-of-the-art medical laboratory at Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital in Bauchi, significantly enhancing the hospital's capacity for accurate and timely diagnosis. The facility is part of the company's hospital support program, which has been implemented across several healthcare institutions in Nigeria. Hajara Aliyu reports.
The Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital Bauchi is positioning itself on the global healthcare map in its diagnostic capabilities with the addition of a modern medical laboratory donated by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, NLNG, as part of its ongoing hospital support program. The new laboratory is fully equipped with advanced diagnostic tools, a solar-powered electrical system, and purpose-built workspaces for sample preparation and storage, designed to enhance efficiency and reliability in medical diagnostics. The commissioning ceremony was attended by NLNG officials, hospital management, staff, and other stakeholders who celebrated this milestone in the hospital's journey towards improved healthcare delivery. In his remarks, the MD and CEO of NLNG, represented by the General Manager of External Relations and Sustainable Development, notes that NLNG's hospital interventions span over 10 federal medical centers across the country.
The project was informed by a detailed needs assessment, and the outcome is a facility, a laboratory complex that will significantly enhance domestic, or rather diagnostic capacity, and provide better support to clinicians and patients alike.
The Chief Medical Director of ATBU Teaching Hospital expresses gratitude to NLNG, highlighting the timeliness of the intervention, especially in addressing the rising cases of Lassa fever and other public health challenges that demand prompt and accurate diagnosis.
By building this facility, NLNG is not just erecting a wall. It is arming a nation against its own silent and deadly enemies, that is undiagnosed illness and delayed treatment.
After the speeches, the lab is officially inaugurated and opened for use.
In the memory of all those who have not been beneficiaries of that, the beneficiaries going forward.
A guided tour of the facility concludes the event, with NLNG reaffirming its commitment to being a leading force in private sector support for healthcare development in Nigeria. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
With backing from the federal government, the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Credit Corp, says that it is putting economic power in the hands of women through credit-enabled mobility solutions. In Port Harcourt, the River State capital, the 22 women received brand-new tricycles, popularly known as Keke Napep, in a bold move to boost financial independence and improve livelihoods. This initiative, held in collaboration with mobility platform GigMile, is set and part of the growing campaign to bridge gender gaps in access to credit and self-sustaining income opportunities. Our correspondent Deborah Agbalama reports.
In a drive to boost women's financial independence, Credit Corp, in partnership with GigMile, has empowered 22 women with tricycles, popularly known as Keke Napep, enabling them to launch or sustain their small businesses. Branded Queen Riders, the beneficiaries join a growing league of women gaining economic mobility through this initiative. The initiative is part of the Credit Access for Light and Mobility Fund, CALM, a Credit Corp scheme designed to provide working Nigerians with income-generating tools. According to the Credit Corp CEO, the primary goal is to foster women's financial independence by giving them access to these productive assets.
We are now at a phase in Credit Corp where we are doubling down on the knock-on effects, the economic knock-on effects of credit. So not just that you got something that you need, that you got a solar panel for your house, or you got electronics, or you got furniture, renovated your home, that you didn't have to wait till retirement as a civil servant to now have a house or a car. Not only that, but that we are also enabling local industry.
GigMile's co-founder explains that their mobility offer is structured to supply low-income earners, specifically designed to avoid placing excessive financial pressure on them.
Rider program is far more than a product launch.
It is a resolute proclamation that Nigerian women deserve unhindered access to the tools of economic empowerment, that mobility must transcend mere movement, it must propel lives towards brighter futures, and with the right platform, women can steer the transformation of urban transport in Nigeria.
A beneficiary shares her excitement, describing the flexible payment plan as convenient, allowing her to earn and repay gradually while running her tricycle business.
I know it's not easy for a young lady to decide to do this, but at least when you look at the situation of the country, at least you have to help yourself.
Credit Corp states that its Women Empowerment Initiative, backed by the federal government, is a core part of its broader vision to reach 50% of working Nigerians by 2030. This initiative leverages credit as a key tool to foster inclusion, dignity, and economic opportunity for everyday citizens.
Some health news now, where the Duchess International Hospital for the second year running has picked up the coveted Private Tertiary Healthcare Facility of the Year trophy at the Nigerian Healthcare Excellence Awards. The hospital management, in a reaction to the win, describes it as a testimony to the world-class services provided by the hospital and part of its mission to reverse medical tourism in Nigeria.
The team for NIA 2025.
Today is perhaps one of the few days that these healthcare workers are not working emergencies and taking care of other people. They, on the other hand, are being fitted to a banquet-styled event, honored with various awards in different categories by the Nigeria Healthcare Excellence Awards, NEA, and some entertainment. Dignitaries, including the Governor of Katsina State, Dr. Dikko Umaru Rada, Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, represented by the Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako, and others joined select healthcare practitioners across the country and some from the diaspora for the 11th edition of the awards, which began in 2014. Chairman of the NEA Advisory Board, Dr. Anthony Omolola, confirms that this year's awards received over 35,000 nominations across public and private institutions.
The rigorous selection process included comprehensive evaluation by NIA verification and visitation teams.
And the winner for this private tertiary healthcare facility of the year goes to
Duchess International.
The Duchess International Hospital, a state-of-the-art, purpose-built healthcare facility for the second year running, picked up the coveted private tertiary healthcare facility of the year gone.
Stand up for the champions, stand up.
Be happy, please. Be happy. First of all, I would like to say that it's a tremendous honor to win this award for the second time in a row. We were honored with this award last year. We're back again this year. In terms of the quality of work that has attracted an award like this, of course, the Duchess International Hospital is a multi-specialist hospital. We are the new kids on the block. It's difficult to even begin to think about the fact that we're only 4 years old.
With a mission that also includes initiating reverse medical tourism to Nigeria, the medical director, Dr. Adedoyin Dosumogunbi, lists some of their qualities expected to help them achieve that vision.
Really by professionalism and by inspiring trust, working hard, doing what is best for the patient, just doing the right thing every day and consistently, and getting better and better at it. That's what we must do for the sake of our patients and also for the sake of the goal of reversing medical tourism.
Other awardees include the Katsina State Government, which received the Special Recognition Award for Transformative Healthcare Leadership.
Let's delve into the world of sports now. Nigeria's Super Falcons continued their preparations for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations with a 3-1 victory over rivals Ghana in Casablanca, Morocco. Chinwendu Ihezuo, Asisha Swala, and Rashidat Ajibade were all on target as the 9-time African champion secured victory over their opponents. The Super Falcons, seeking a record-extending 10th WAFCON title, are in Group B for the tournament with Tunisia, Algeria, and Botswana. The Democratic Alliance in South Africa has withdrawn from the national dialogue, resulting in instability in the country's coalition government, which has just marked its first anniversary. Tension started when President Cyril Ramaphosa fired a deputy minister from the Democratic Alliance over unauthorized travel. And Andrew Wakefield, who served as Deputy Minister for Trade, made a trip to the United States without approval from the presidency. Contravening rules governing ministers, the DA responded by asking Ramaphosa to fire 3 African National Congress ministers facing corruption there, while allegations in 48 hours all face the consequences. On Friday, South Africa presidency dismissed the DA's call as threats and ultimatums that will not bother the president. The National Dialogue is an initiative started by Mr. Ramaphosa last month to unite the country and address issues like unemployment and crime. And the main news again. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede, has reaffirmed the Army's commitment to protecting the nation. Security operatives have rescued 13 abducted passengers in Benu State. And as Russia's war in Ukraine rages on, Channels Television's correspondent Kayode Kikelu journeyed through Kiev, offering a first-hand look at life inside the embattled nation. And that's it on the news at 10. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwaudo. Have a fruitful week ahead. Good night.